Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Mike. I am the computer guy here at East Chicago Public Library, and today we're talking about safety and security on the internet. We have new outlines. Does everybody have a new outline for today? As a matter of fact, let me I don't have a slide with the outline. I only do. Okay. So today we're going to talk about keeping your computer and your devices safe. Okay, and that's viruses and stuff like that. We're going to talk about passwords because that is the most common problem I see with patrons coming in to the library. We have a hard time with passwords. We have told people, as a computer guy, we've told people for the longest time to make your passwords very, very long and complicated. Don't use the same one twice and don't write it down. Terrible advice because no one remembers their password. So we'll talk about passwords and we'll give you some advice to remember them, and it's not a bad idea to write them down. We're going to talk about common scams because there are a lot of scams out there. We'll talk about computer scams, but we'll also talk about just some other scams too. I think we're entering into a scam-based economy, to be perfectly honest. We're going to talk about online banking and online shopping. Using your computer for online transactions is safe and super convenient. And I meet a lot of people who are worried about it because they're worried about their credit card number getting out and stuff like that. That is totally understandable. That's what we're here for today. If we understand how it works and why it works, and we understand what's really dangerous and what's safe, it might ease your worried mind to actually go online and use online banking and online shopping. Okay. Then we're going to talk a little bit about social media. Okay. Modern websites, we have the ability to socialize with people, which also creates new opportunities for people to try and scam you. Not just scamming, but some of the social media and modern media is affecting our health in odd ways. Okay, for the longest time, I remember back in the late 90s, I was a computer guy, and the internet was already going on for a handful of years, and then we started to get the internet on our phones. And I remember thinking to myself, now that we have all of the world's knowledge at our fingertips on our phone, that's certainly going to make us smarter. No. Now we have a bunch of people that believe the earth is flat, and it turns out what it is it's kind of like trying to get healthier by eating more food. Right? It's not the quantity of the information, it's the quality of the information. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I do have a class I do in a break in between these two semesters, we call it. I do a spring semester here in the evenings because it's getting lighter outside. And in the evenings, it's easier to come and go when it's starting to get light out. In the wintertime, I do an afternoon class in the fall and winter over at our other location. And I do them during the day because it's dark out, and also to accommodate the people who have to work all day and can't come. This is for the people who work all day and can't come to day classes, and then that is for people who can come to the day classes. In between there, I do a class called Media Literacy and Misinformation. And that class is about how modern media is affecting all of us and affecting society. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and we default to trust. As people, as social people, we have to trust each other because we wouldn't be able to survive if we didn't. And that opens up a lot of problems. It makes it easy to scam people, and it makes it easy to believe misinformation when you're constantly fed a lot of misinformation. So in that break, we do a class like that. But we'll talk a little bit about social media and that today, even though we're going to do a whole class about it. I also have a guest who comes to talk about modern mainstream media. So his name is Michael Puente. He is a reporter with Chicago Public Radio. And he'll come in, he's been coming in and talking about, he grew up here in East Chicago. I met him because he was originally a reporter for the Northwest Indiana Times back in the 90s. Since then, he's been working in Chicago as a Northwest Indiana Bureau reporter. But he talks about the importance of a free press in our society. It's in the Constitution. And it's really important to keep public figures honest. And he comes and talks about that. I'll be advertising it a lot. I'll make sure that all you guys are invited and informed if you want to come to that class. Okay, so reminder, we do have a community help desk every Tuesday and Thursday from 1 to 4 at the main library. We can help you with any kind of technology question you have, including if you miss a class and you need to get caught up. We can do that too. You can bring in your own devices. You can bring in your computers, your phones, devices, but no drop-offs. You have to stay with your device at all times. But that's every Tuesday and Thursday from 1 to 4 at the main library. Upcoming classes. Hello. Upcoming classes. Today is the 28th of April. It's our safety and security on the internet class. Next week, next Tuesday, there will be no class. Hi, are you new?
No.
Do you have a blue little thing?
Yes, I do.
You do? Okay. Then we'll get you an outline. You got a new outline. Great. Okay. So next Tuesday, there is no class. There's going to be it's election day. So there will be voting, primary voting in this room that day. I suggest looking up on the internet who you need to vote for and coming and making an informed decision and doing your civic duty and coming to vote. The Tuesday, 2 weeks from today, we're going to have a class on artificial intelligence. Or I like to call it machine intelligence because it's in a lot of ways real intelligence. It's just inside a machine. And then after that, then we start a 3-part hands-on basic computer class where we all work on laptops. So basically the first 6 classes that I do here are all internet-based, and they're based around tablets and smartphones and the internet because a lot of people don't need anything more than that. This gentleman here was just talking about, do I need a computer? Can I get by with a tablet? Most people can do what they need to do on a tablet or a smartphone without having to get a whole big on computer. If you do want a computer, or if you already have a computer and don't know how to use it, the class is starting on May 19th is going to be what you want because we start learning about operating systems, using a mouse, how to manage files and applications on a home computer. And that is a 3-part hands-on class. I encourage everybody to sign up for those classes. Some people don't sign up and they just show up, and typically that's fine for these first classes, but once we're hands-on, we have to make sure that we have a computer available for everybody. And we want you to use our computers so we're all on the same page when we're walking through stuff. So
we go back to the email and sign up for the library, or?
Right, so the website, you can sign up. You can just tell me, and we'll just write it on the sign-up sheet.
I didn't know if we had to go back.
No, that's fine.
So we can tell you on the 12th.
You can tell me on the 12th, too. Absolutely. Anybody at the circulation and reference desks can sign you up if you're not comfortable with going on the internet and signing up.
So I usually get a text asking them on the store. Is that fine also?
That's fine. Yeah. Yeah, a text message or an email if you don't want to be called. But Yvonne, we've been giving the lists to Yvonne to remind everybody. It seems to help attendance. She calls everybody to remind them. Okay. No, I did have an outline in here. Okay. So we'll go. All right, so let's talk about, first of all, keeping your computer and devices safe. We'll talk about a computer virus. A computer virus is a piece of software that can replicate itself and get into multiple devices. It's not as much of a worry these days as it used to be. It still is a worry, but not nearly as bad as it was. In the early 2000s, a friend of mine opened up a shop in Chesterton, a computer shop, and that was our bread and butter. Man, people would come all the time and bring in their computers that were just full of viruses. It was super easy back then to get viruses on your computer. You'd go to websites or download something wrong, and it would be a mess. And that was our bread and butter at the shop, just cleaning off viruses for people. We did, we supported local dentists and doctors and lawyers and stuff like that too. But nowadays, the computer manufacturers and the people who make these operating systems have gotten a lot better about keeping viruses off of the computer. Okay? It's actually pretty hard to get a virus on a computer. You have to go through a lot of steps and say yes, yes, yes to get it on your computer, and that can still happen. But also, we would always advise back then, people have like multiple, antivirus programs running and stuff like that. We don't advise that anymore. The operating system that comes with a modern Windows computer or an Apple computer is got security built in. You don't need anything else. You don't have to buy Norton antivirus. You don't have to buy McAfee security. You don't have to pay money for that. If you are, there's nothing wrong with it, but when it comes time to renew that, let it go. Cancel it and just let it go. If you have a Windows computer, Microsoft Windows Defender comes with it for free. It does just as good of a job as any of those other things. We just don't recommend it to people like we used to. So, yeah.
I was getting so many viruses on my phone till it was just, I don't know what I was doing, but it was, I couldn't do anything because the viruses were taking over my phone.
Right. Now that happens. Most of the time, they're not really viruses. What they are is what we call a fake alert. Okay? It's a screen that pops up. It's normally just a web page. And it's telling you you have a virus on your phone. And you don't. It's telling you have a virus on your phone because they want you to call a phone number. Do a lot of these phones say, oh, you got a terrible virus, call this number or contact us. They're trying to get you on the phone. The thing is these computers are really hard to break into and crack these days. We are pretty easy to crack. All right? If they can get you on the phone, they can talk you into a credit card number. They can talk you into stuff like that. That is what these fake alerts are now. So when I did this class back, I've been doing these classes for like 20 years now. 20 years ago, I would show you all the different types of viruses you could get and how they propagate themselves and how to install antivirus. I don't do that anymore. We don't need to do that. When you do get an alert that you have a virus, almost always, it's just a fake alert. Click the X and close it. Now with phones, this is what's happening with phones. These phones, when you go and get an app from the App Store, some of them are ad supported. They're free, but they're going to pop up advertisements to you. And some of those advertisements look like you're getting a virus. It's a pop-up ad, basically. So if you're getting that a lot on your phones, and some people do, it's easy to get rid of. You just got to get rid of the app that's doing it, and that's not too hard to find out. So come into the help desk with your phone, and we'll sit down and we'll go through it and we'll get rid of it. It's not really a virus. It's an app on there that is advertising to you and making you think you got viruses all over your phone when you don't.
So as long as you uninstall that app, it's gone?
That's right. Yeah. And I can't. And all the time I've been doing this help desk, I see this a lot. And it's never been a virus. It's always just been an app or a game or something like that, right? Who has a Bible app on their phone? Get rid of the Bible app on your phone. Because it's malicious and it's advertising to you like you wouldn't believe. Remember, Jesus kicked all the bankers out of the temple, right? Come into help desk. I can give you a free ebook that is searchable, easy to read, and it doesn't have all these ads. These Bible apps are, they're horrible. If you want to read the Bible, you can do it on your phone. Come into the help desk and I'll help you with that. Right? But see, there's a lot of these apps that are popular and people are taking advantage. You know, the Bible apps, the games, and the, and little things like that. Some of them are fine. A lot of them do have, and a lot of them are just giving you, you'll play a game, and after every third or fourth game, you get an advertisement for another game. Well, you know what? It's a free game. It's like a TV commercial. We watch TV for free because we got to sit through the stupid commercials. right? A lot of these apps, you can give them 99 cents and they'll take all the ads away. And it's safe. If you're going through the App Store, it's been vetted. Giving them 99 cents one time or $1.99 to get rid of the advertisement so you can play your game in peace might just be worth it. I do recommend not doing that. And if you want help and you're worried, come into the help desk and we'll help you. On a desktop computer, this fake alert is normally just a web page. And I see it in the computer labs all the time, right? And it fills the whole screen, makes noise. Oh, you've got a virus. Oh my God, call this number, call this number. I just go over there, shut the browser down, or restart the computer, it comes back up and it's fine. It's not a virus. We call it a fake alert. Question?
What about all the spam that comes on your phone?
Oh.
I'm deleting 50 spams a day.
Yeah, well, that's something I can help you with. So I recently switched from Verizon to AT&T for my cell phone. Now, as soon as I switched, the amount of spam phone calls I got went from almost nothing to like one or two an hour, all day, every day. And there's ways to limit that. I looked into it, I found out that Verizon I was paying like $1 or $2 a month for a spam protection from them, and they were filtering out the spam calls. And then when I moved to AT&T, I didn't pay that $1 or $2, and then they started coming in. But my phone has got a call screening and spam control, so I just turn that on, and they still come in, but they don't alert me.
Right.
If I look at my history, I'll see them, but they're not ringing. It says, it's spam, and it just ignored it. And occasionally, I'll see one that it thought was spam, and it wasn't, and I put them in my contacts, and then it lets it ring. So basically, what we got to do nowadays is put everybody in your contact list that'll ring. And then you can say, you know what, if they're not in my contacts, consider it spam. We can help you with that in Help Desk too. That's pretty common. Email spam is the same thing. You can report it as spam as you go. These are machines that look at email coming in and try to determine whether it's spam or not. And the more you report things as spam, the better it gets at seeing what's coming in and labeling it as spam.
But you delete it and it just nothing.
I know.
I mean, it doesn't ring my phone, but when I look at my contacts for the calls that come in for the day, it's like 40 calls.
Yeah, mine too. Do you have a landline at home?
No.
Okay, you're lucky because those are really worse. Oh my goodness, it's just constant scams. Yeah. It's pretty bad. A good friend of mine works in the computer industry, and he works with, when you call a business and like it's an automated, press 1 for this. Those are computers that do that, and he works in that industry. I was talking to him once about these spam calls. He's like, yeah, I work with people in Australia, and they don't have this problem. Because in Australia, they have a nationwide law that says that if you call somebody, you can't fake what number it is. It's got to be traceable to the person that made the call. Well, all of a sudden, that really took all these scam calls out. Nobody did it because they could find out who they were, and because these scam calls are illegal. In the United States, we don't have that law. We can fake a phone number, and it's a mess. We need a law that does that, but we also need politicians who can do the right thing. So I'm not expecting, I'm not expecting too much. So, yeah, that's another class. Yes?
Sometimes I get calls coming from like St. Catherine's Hospital or from the library, but it's not the library. How could they do that?
It's easy to fake the number. It's easy to fake an email address too. I mean, I can go on Google right now and I can create an account and make my first name Donald and my last name Trump, and I can email you. And I'm not Donald Trump, but you're like, why am I getting emails from Donald Trump? It's the same way with phone numbers. You can fake it. As a matter of fact, they'll often make it look like the phone number they're calling from to be very close to your phone number. The right area code, so you think it's local. it's going to mean that you're more likely to answer it. But it's just a fake. It's not what it's coming from for real. That's why Australia has a law that you can't do that in Australia, but you can here. So,
You know, just like we were talking earlier about the legislation for most of these computers being on the federal level, the same thing would have to happen on the federal level for the fake phone calls and emails.
that would probably have to be federal legislation. I would have a hard time seeing the states doing that in patchwork. Yeah, that's why we have a federal government. You know, all the states agreed that federal law supersedes state law. They all got together in the early days and said, yeah, let's do that. Which, for some reasons, we need that. I'm for states' rights, but at the same time, we do need, there's things that we can't have a patchwork of. So a fake alert alerts you to a problem that doesn't really exist, tries to trick you into calling a number. Don't call the number. Don't contact them. It's a scam. Most often, it's just a web page. Okay, so this is not really a virus. It's called a keylogger, or it's called spyware. It's a piece of software that spies on you, basically. They call it spyware. And you can install it on a computer, and what it'll do is it'll monitor keystrokes, which can get passwords, right? You're communicating with a website that may be encrypted, but if you have a piece of software on your computer that's logging every key that you type, it can maybe discern what a password is out of that. It will also do things like take screenshots of websites you go to, and it'll upload those screenshots and the keys it's logging to a website where somebody else can view it. These are very difficult to get on your computer, but not impossible. Most of the time, this kind of software, somebody needs physical access to your computer to get that on your computer. That being said, there are legitimate reasons. This is not an illegal piece of software. It can be illegal depending on how you use it, but sometimes there are legitimate reasons for people to use this. So when we were in business, I had a gentleman come into the shop and say, I have a 13-year-old boy, 12-year-old boy at school. I think he's selling weed at school. And I want to spy on the computer and see if I can catch him before the cops do or the school does. So this is legitimate. We paid for this piece of software. It was his computer, and it was in his kid's room. And he did. He caught his kid selling bags of weed at school. Okay? And you know what happens. We know. And it was good because the cops weren't involved and he cleared it up and it was all fine. That is a legitimate use of this. Okay? There are illegal ones. I had a woman come in and say, okay, I caught my husband having an affair last year and we went to counseling and we decided that we're going to move ahead and still be together. And we're going to work through it. But that was last year, and now I fear that he's doing it again. And he's like, is there a way I can spy on him via the computer? Well, that was a bit of a sticky thing, right? Because I knew it was legal for the father to watch the kid, because it's his computer, it's his house, and he can do that. But a spouse, I was a little... So I went to an attorney that I knew. And I said, hey, is this legal? And he said, let me look into it and get back to you. He came back and he said, okay, if the couple is separated, still married but separated, illegal. She is spying on him and that is against the law. He can sue her for that. If they're still married and not separated and living in the same house and they both own that computer, it is legal. And you can do that.
Because they both have accessibility.
Right, they do. So I went out to her house when her husband was at work, and I went to the computer and I installed this piece of software, and he was cheating on her, and they're divorced. So, and then I'll give you a third example, an illegal example. I had a young woman, probably like around 30 years old, young, attractive woman, comes in and says, okay, my ex-boyfriend is showing up to places everywhere I go, even places that I don't normally go to. So I got on the computer and I texted my friend and said, hey, meet me at this bar. It was a bar I'd never go to, a bar I would never go to, a bar he would never go to, and he showed up. So he's spying on me. I know he's spying on me. I'm like, okay. I said, well, was there any chance that he could have had access to your computer? And she said, yeah, probably. I mean, there was one time he was over and I went and took a shower and he had kind of access to the place. I'm like, all right. So I went out to her house and I looked on the computer. Sure enough, when she was in the shower, he ran over to her computer, installed this software, and what it was doing, it was logging her keystrokes, taking pictures of the website she was on, uploading it to a website that he could watch remotely. She decided that she wasn't going to get the law involved. We cleaned up her computer and the problem stopped. But that is a good example of how this can be used illegally. But see, that's hard. He had to have access to that computer. And she had to have the computer up with the password in and everything. And she just went into the shower and he ran over there and installed it really quick. So if you're worried about this, it hides itself, but it can't hide itself from computer people. It's pretty easy to find if you're a computer person. So if you are worried about this, bring your computer in. We can find it for you. Question?
What about could he have tracked her by her phone?
They do make that for cell phones, but the same way. Somebody has got to have access to your phone. So you know how these phones say, no, put a pin or a fingerprint to get into the phone? Well, that keeps people from getting into it. So if somebody came over to the house and grabbed your phone, they couldn't install anything, you know. You can set your phone to not have a fingerprint and not have the code, but they make it a little hard to do because they don't want you to do that. It is a security risk to just leave it completely unprotected. Pete, question?
Just a comment. It's been several years ago, but it still works. We had a conference in DC, and in this particular hotel, there was a hackers convention going on in the hotel. We find out that some of the federal people come to these events, and they pick the best hackers and hire them. That's right. Work in federal government.
Yeah.
Illegal, but they,
Yeah. There was 6-7 years ago, they think it was the Israeli government developed a piece of spyware that can get on people's phones pretty easily, kind of like this. But for average people like us, we don't have to worry about it. I think it was more people in government, stuff like that. And when the government gets involved and they have a lot of money to spend on hackers, that's a different thing. But for I'm not too worried about the Israeli government watching what I do. Yet. Yet, yes.
Now, let's say, as far as removing that type of software from your computer, if you have a laptop, you got a phone, you got a home PC,
Yeah.
you take one of those devices and it'll remove from all three?
Likely no, but installing it on one's not going to install it on all of them anyway. So if somebody wanted it on your laptop, your PC, and on your cell phone, they'd have to have access to all three. Right. Or the Israeli government probably could, but I wouldn't worry about it too much.
Thank you.
just one quick one.
Yeah.
About the phone. When you see a message that says, you need to upgrade, do you always have to have, could that be another scam?
You need to update your software?
Update your phone.
Like buy a new phone or just update the software?
Update the software.
No, probably not. No.
Because you usually update automatically, most times.
Mine will say restart to finish update, is what mine will say. If you're worried, just bring the phone in or call the library and ask for Mike. Because I would say for the most part, you're probably fine doing that. I mean, that's a regular thing. We're going to spend that's our lot in life now, is updating our phone on a regular basis, right? It's our Sisyphus and the rolling the boulder up the hill. We're just what we have to do now. Just update this all. But most of the time, those updates are fixing security patches. And I understand people don't like to run their updates because they're like, it's working perfectly the way it is right now. If I update it, something's going to change, and I'm not going to. True, but you're going to have to update it eventually. Better to have small incremental changes than not update anything for 3 years and then have a huge change. Better to just go. And like I said, those updates are most of the time patching security holes that they've found. So if you have a Microsoft Windows computer, and in the computer basics class we learned what operating systems are. Windows is an operating system. So basically, we talked about it in the phone class too. That's the software that comes with your device or your computer to make it easy to use. Windows. Well, Windows is on version 11, and they stopped putting out updates to Windows version 10 and earlier. So if you are on an earlier version of that, you're probably not in any danger right now, but the more time goes on, if they discover that there is a way to hack into a Windows 10 computer or a Windows 7 computer, well, Windows isn't going to fix it anymore. That's what these Windows updates are doing. When they find that, oh, hey, somebody was able to get into Windows this way, well, they put out an update to patch that. So when Windows 10 stops getting updates, well, it's probably not a problem right away, but a year or two from now, it might be easy for people to hack into your computer. So they do recommend that you buy a new computer or update to Windows 11, and if your old computer can't do it, buy a new computer and update to Windows 11. Or limit your internet use and don't do a lot of online banking and stuff like that. Okay. Windows Defender is the piece of software that comes with Microsoft Windows. It does a fine job. Apple Computer for a long time said, buy an Apple computer, we don't get viruses. That's a lie. They do, and they have. They don't get as many as Windows did back in the old days especially, but that was also because Windows had a much bigger market share. And if somebody was going to create a virus, they were going to do it for the computers that most people owned.
So you say you did buy some type of laptop or whatever tablet,
Yeah.
you suggest whatever safety or whatever
That comes with it?
with it,
Yeah.
install it. Is what they-
Well, no, if it came with it, you don't have to
You don't
install
have
it.
to.
Right.
If it
You-
says yes to it, then just say yes or whatever.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And a lot of these apps, there's a lot of apps, and so you take your phone, and you say, I want a new Hearts game or a solitaire game. You go to the App Store and you just get a solitaire game. Then you start seeing a lot of advertisements. And then you start seeing something comes up and goes, oh, you're out of storage, it's a mess, and you got all these problems. You need to install this piece of software to fix that. It's just an advertisement. They're telling that to everybody, no matter what condition your phone is in. It's just an ad. So that's why I said earlier, we're in a scam-based economy, because it's just a lot of bull that we got to deal with now. So just be mindful that a lot of these things that are popping up on your phone aren't viruses, even if they're telling you got a virus. Even they're saying, oh, you need to install this to keep your phone working right. It's like, no, most of the time they're just trying to trick you into installing their app, which is going to advertise a bunch of other garbage to you. So, yeah.
What about that, app Guardian, or something that comes up, it's supposed to,
Oh.
tell you if a spam, authenticate a spam call from a regular call?
Yeah.
Is that spam itself?
Yeah, Guardian. I've heard of that.
It comes up once
It's
in a
supposed to
while.
tell you if it's spam or not, or if the website is legitimate.
It has a shield, it throws a shield in, that's it.
I've seen it too, and I think it's a legitimate piece of software. But you know what I do, and as a computer person who works in the industry, it changes so quickly that half the time we have to go to Google and look it up, right? I'm surprised that I learned that my doctor has to do that too. My doctor, I'll tell him my symptoms. He's like, okay, I need to go to the computer and I need to research this before I can give you. I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense. You can't keep it all in your head. We got to do the same thing. So a lot of times when somebody comes into the help desk and say, is this legitimate? Well, I go right to the internet. And I say, is the Guardian app legitimate? And there's a lot of websites out there that will tell you if it's garbage. So that will help. If you have an app on your phone that you're kind of worried about, just go into Google and saying, hey, I have this app on my phone. Is this legitimate? Will probably give you a pretty good answer. And if it gives you a conflicted answer, come into the help desk. But I think, I can't tell you for sure without looking, but I think Guardian is legitimate because I think I've seen it.
Well, I had it on my phone and I took it to Verizon and they took it off because they said it was garbage.
Good. Okay, good. Then it was garbage. I trust them. Okay. Nowadays, we have app stores on a Windows computer and on your cell phones. That helps because before app stores were around, you would just go to whatever website to install the piece of software that you wanted to. If you wanted to install Norton antivirus on your computer, you'd go to norton.com. And there was a button that says, oh, you can purchase it and download it and install it right from Norton. The problem with that is if you went to Google and you went Norton security software and did a search for it, you'd get a list of websites saying that they were Norton, and only one of them was Norton, right? And there was a bunch of other garbage up there that wasn't Norton. It was a virus, and they were trying to trick you into thinking they were Norton. So what the solution is now these computers have app stores. And what that does is Microsoft will vet the companies that want to sell software in the App Store to make sure that it's a legitimately Norton and not some jokester trying to pull something over on you. On Windows, I'll show you what the App Store looks like. On Windows, it's called the Microsoft Store. And you can't say, yeah, you're not going to be able to see it really big. Oh, jeez, it's right on the picture. I don't even have to show it to you. It looks like this. There's an icon on your Windows computer that'll look like this, and that's your App Store. On your phones, you have a Google Play Store for your apps, and for an Android phone, and on an Apple phone, it's got an A. It's a little A. For an app store. So those are your app stores where Apple, Google, and Microsoft actually kind of vetted the software that was on there to make it safer for us to go online and get a piece of software. So I do recommend using the App Store and not going directly to a website. That being said, occasionally I do go to a website. There are sometimes tools that I know are safe and legitimate that aren't on the App Store, and I'll just go to the website and do that. If you're worried, come into the help desk and we can help. Okay? Where's my... Okay. Most of the time, if you're getting excessive advertisements and pop-ups and weird stuff, most of the time it's just an app that got installed on your computer or phone, and simply going and uninstalling it fixes the problem. A virus is something that hides itself and embeds itself on your computer, and it doesn't show up in this uninstall list at all, but we don't see a lot of viruses nowadays. Windows won't let a piece of software install without going through these steps to make it easy to uninstall and stuff like that. So if you go into settings, either on your phone or on your computer, it's a gear nowadays. It looks like this. Do I have the gear? It just looks like a gear. They make the settings icon the same on the computer as the phone now. People are getting used to the phone, so they want it. It used to be called control panel on your computer, and it looked different. Now it's a gear, and it says settings, just like your phone. If you go to settings and apps on your phone or your computer, you can look at a list of all the installed apps on your phone or on your computer. If you don't recognize one, that doesn't mean you should get rid of it. There's probably a lot of things in that list you're not going to recognize that came with it and need to be done to make the computer work correctly. But what does happen is you can sort that list by most recently installed, or oftentimes, if there is something that's popping up messages to you, you'll recognize it in the list, right? And you'll go, that's that piece of garbage that keeps popping up a window every 5 minutes, and it's some stupid game or something like that. You can just click on it, hit remove, and it'll take it away. Okay? So most of the time, just going to settings and apps and removing it, or looking for something that was installed recently, if it's a new problem, or you might even be able to recognize what it is. If you see something and you don't recognize what it is, and you're suspicious, you can just Google it. That's most of the time what we do. I have done this enough that nowadays, I can just look down the list and I can spot them. But it took a lot of going to Google and learning what's good and what's bad before I got to that point. There's nothing wrong with you doing that. You can just look and go, I don't recognize that. And you Google it, and then the Google comes back and says, no, that's an important part of Windows. You need that for the computer to work, and then you go, okay, well, you can move along.
Does this uninstalling process work in the same fashion with Apple products?
Yeah, it does. Do you have an Apple?
I do.
An Apple phone or a computer? Yeah, just go into your settings, and there's a list of apps in your settings. Settings apps, and it'll show you all the installed apps, and you can just remove it.
Thank you.
Oftentimes on a smartphone, you can just tap and hold on an app that you see in your list. If there's a new app, like you go to the App Store and you download a game, and then you look, and then like now not only do you have that game, but like 3 other things, you don't know what they are. A lot of times you can just tap and hold on the little icon for the app on your phone, and it'll pop up a little menu that has uninstall. And you can just do it that way. It's an easier way. You can still go into settings and see it in there, but tapping and holding and then getting a little menu that says, yeah, uninstall this app, that's a way to do it. On an iPhone or an iPad, if you tap and hold on an icon, all the icons start to jiggle, and they have little X's. And you can hit that X and it'll remove it. Kind of same thing. This is what we just talked about. Go to settings, apps. Some apps are pre-installed on your smartphone. If you buy a Samsung phone, there's a lot of stuff that they put on there you cannot remove. Okay? Sometimes it's because it's really important for the phone to work. Other times it's because somebody paid them to put the app on there. They call it adware. Software that's kind of like comes bundled with the phone and you can't remove it. That's not unusual. So if you do see an app and you go, this is a game and I don't want it, and it doesn't have an uninstall, it just has this is an update button, and sometimes it'll have an uninstall. Sometimes they don't have an uninstall there at all. And then it could be because that company paid Samsung to have it shipped with the phone. And it's not malicious, but it is what it is. Okay. Okay, let's talk about passwords. What? Are you crying?
Are you gonna show us where passwords are stored? Because I can't keep up with passwords. I don't remember everything requires a password, and you can't use the same password for all the things that you have to do.
Right.
I have multiple passwords for multiple systems, and it's driving me crazy.
That's when we got too much stuff.
That's driving everybody crazy. It is. So you weren't here last week for the browser class. So in the browser class, in your whatever browser you're using, do you understand what a browser is?
Yes.
Okay, so you're using like a Google Chrome browser or maybe a Microsoft Edge browser. If you sign in to the browser, your Chrome browser,
Yeah.
it'll offer to save passwords for you. in the browser, but you have to sign in with a Google account. You have a Gmail account?
Yeah.
Right, so you can sign in the top right-hand corner of your browser, there's a little picture of a face, and you click on it, you can sign into the browser. Now, we went through it last week, but if you want to come into the help desk, I can walk you through exactly how it goes, because then your browser will store all your passwords for you. So when you go to a website, it'll store them. There are some websites that won't allow your Google Password Manager to store it, like your bank probably won't. Your bank probably, you have to type that in every time. But that password manager is safe, and you can go up to the menu of your Chrome browser and choose Password Manager, and it'll have a list of all the websites that it's saving your password for. And when you go to view the password, it'll say, whoa, 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 put in your Google password so we know it's you looking at this before it'll show it to you to make it safe. And it's a legitimate way for it to save your passwords. And keeping a book at home is not a bad way to do it. Like, that's one of the reasons I wanted everybody to have one of these little blue folders, is so you could write down your passwords and keep it in a safe place at home.
With your social security.
Yeah. Memorize that. Everybody have their social security number memorized by now? I hope so, yeah. Yes, Priscilla.
Since I have an Apple phone, I go on the Apple and I keep all my passwords in the notes.
You can do that too, right. And if you have a Google phone, there's an app called Keep, which is a little note-taking app. It might already be on your phone. If not, go to the App Store. It's free. It's made by Google, and it's really handy. And I do that too. I'll keep password.
What day you have the password.
Right. A spreadsheet in your Google account is also an easy way to store. If you have I have a lot of passwords, I keep a spreadsheet. And we'll talk about what you need to write down when you write down these passwords. But let's talk a little bit about passwords in general, right? Because the case against repeating passwords, they tell you don't use the same password. I do use the same password sometimes.
I do too. I'm not crazy.
Right. That's a little excessive.
I try to keep mine as simple as possible.
You want to make it simple. You just don't want to make it something that people can easily guess.
About you.
Right. So in the early days of passwords, they told you to make your password really long and complicated. Uppercase, lowercase, special characters, numbers, and all of that. Why did they do that? Is because, well, somebody could make a computer program that would try to guess every combination of letters and numbers to guess your password. That's what they would do. So somebody would know you log into your bank, and then they would tell a computer program, okay, put in this login name, and in the password box, just start putting in every password you can pop, every combination of letters and numbers. Well, if you had a simple password, it might take the computer a couple of weeks, but it would eventually, after doing it over and over again, guess your password by just randomly going through every combination of letters and numbers.
Would you say more so, I mean, like, your Google or Netflix or whatever, I mean, I
Well-
think the same thing, because I don't think that's case sensitive.
Exactly.
You gotta change all that shit, because it ain't my banking. I mean, there ain't
Right.
nothing like that.
Right. So don't use the same password at your bank that you use at
No,
Jimmy John's.
No, I don't.
Right?
I don't-
You know?
I don't have
That's the
that.
thing.
So the rest of that's irrelevant, I mean,
Right.
it's
So
nothing.
what I do is I kind of keep 3 levels of password. So anyway, what I was talking about, that computer program that guesses all the time, well, it didn't take too long before websites went, wait a minute. Why are we allowing a computer program to try and guess all these anyway? So if you go in there and you put the wrong password in 3-4 times, then a little screen pops up and goes, are you a robot? Right? Are you a computer program trying to get, or are you a real person? Okay? So now these websites don't allow you to do that. So they don't have to be super complicated. They used to say, if you put a special character and numbers in uppercase and lowercase, well, then that computer program trying to guess is going to take it 20 years and they'll never guess. But now they just don't let them guess like that anymore. So you don't have to be super long and complicated. It just has to be something that nobody can guess. Okay? And you can, like he said, I don't use the same. I have my bank password. I only use at my bank. Probably a couple of my credit cards, I double those. Right? You know, my Chase credit card and my Capital One probably have the same password. I don't know. My browser has it saved, so I don't regularly do it anyway. But like my bank doesn't allow me to save my password in the browser. So every time I go to PNC Bank, I have to type in my password every time. And it's different from all my other passwords because it's secure. I want to be secure. But you can repeat passwords for like Jimmy, Jimmy John's doesn't store my credit card. If somebody hacks into my Jimmy John's account, what are they going to do? Order me a sandwich, It's not that big of a deal. And same thing with Netflix and Hulu and stuff like that. You want to be a little bit more careful. So I kind of think of like 3 tiers. I think, okay, I got to keep bank and credit card safe. And then I got things like social networking, my Facebook account and my email. It's probably not super sensitive information in there, but I don't want anybody getting into that. So I make that kind of a medium password, and then I have an easier password that I'll use for Jimmy John's and Pizza Hut and Disney Channel, Most of the time when you sign up for these websites, they ask you to give them a phone number. They're not going to call you. That phone number is to protect you because if somebody tries to change your password, they're going to text you to make sure it's you. So they'll say, okay, well, you gave us a phone number when you first signed up for Disney Plus. So now you're trying to change your password on Disney Plus, and just to be extra sure, we're going to text you a little number. We're going to text you a little secret code, one-time secret code. You don't even have to ever write it down. It's a one-time thing. We're going to text you that number you gave us that first time you signed up. So if it is somebody malicious trying to get in, they don't have your phone, they're not going to get the number, they can't change your password. So that's what those phone numbers are for. Also, I just got one today. I logged into my Google account on this laptop, and then I opened my email, and then I instantly got an email from Google going, hey, we just saw that you logged in on a computer you haven't logged in on before. Is this really you? It is really me. But see, so Google and a lot of these email companies are good about that. If they notice suspicious activity, they're going to send you an email going, we saw something that was kind of It never hurts to change your password. That is going to keep people out. Never give that secret code to anybody. Right? I know somebody who got their email address compromised because of that secret code thing. She was selling something on Facebook Marketplace. Okay? Which is normally fine. And then somebody contacted her on Facebook Marketplace and said, hey, I just want to make sure it's really you selling this. I'm going to send you a code to your email. Can you just tell me what that code is? And then I'm going to feel comfortable shopping with you. And she was confused. She's like, well, that's weird, but okay. So the person said, okay, I sent a code. And she gets it in her email. The person tried to change her password on Gmail, on her Gmail account, and Google sent her that code. And when she opened it up, it said, don't give this to anybody, but here's your secret code to change your password. She gave it to the person on Facebook Marketplace. So goes, well, here's that code that I just got in my email, and that person instantly put it in, changed her Gmail password, and commandeered her Gmail account, and just took it away. And I said, well, they don't have your phone. The person got a hold of me, and they said, well, they don't have your phone. And that's how, so go and change it back.
It coincides to the.
Right, so now that person, once they got into that Google account, they could have went in there and changed the phone number, but they hadn't gotten that far yet. So that person called me and said, okay, I think I just messed up. I just gave a code to somebody on Facebook Marketplace, and now I can't get into my email. I'm like, okay, go into your email, say, I forgot my password. They're going to text you a number to your phone, and it did. And she changed her password back. But see, that's why these numbers say, don't give this to anybody. Because there are scammers out there that are trying to trick you into giving a number that your bank sends you, or your credit card sends you, or your Gmail sends you. And if you do get scammed, don't worry, we've all been scammed. You're going to feel terrible, right? And you're going to feel, oh, why? How could I be so stupid? Don't. There are people out there trying really, really hard to trick you. So when you do get tricked, it's not your fault. Okay? It's not your fault. Don't be afraid to call the library, call your bank, and say, okay, I got scammed, because it's happening constantly to everybody. So don't worry about it. Yeah.
You know, this morning I got a call from PNC Fraud Division,
Okay.
and they asked me whether I made these purchases.
Okay.
And they'll tell you about one, if you did, two, if you did, or whatever. But they don't care what time they call you.
No. It was automated,
Well, if it was your stuff, you would've,
Protecting you.
yeah.
So I was saying, because, you know, my, Netflix bill went up $2. And they were calling to make sure that it was me that allowed them to take it out of my account.
Okay.
And I was surprised, because it comes out every month out of my checking account.
Yeah, interesting.
I'm thankful for it, that they do call you and verify
Yeah.
if you made the purchase
Oh,
or not.
yeah,
I'm
that's a
doing
good thing.
it.
Yeah, most credit cards, you can go online and log into your credit card, and you can set up an alert on your credit card. I set up all my credit cards to email me or text me anytime it's used ever. Because that way, I walk into a store and I swipe my credit card and I instantly get a message. Oh, you charge your credit card. That's great, because now if I'm sitting here and I just get an email, hey, you charged something on your credit card, I'm like, no, I didn't, because I'm teaching a class right now. So that can be a big help. So, so here's kind of what I do. I create a password formula, okay? And like I said, it needs to be something people can't guess. So I come up with a root word to be my base password, and then I add to that to make it more complicated, right? So I'll think of something like, well, you know, the city I was born, or the city I grew up, or the city I live, or the street I live on, or something that, or a TV show you like, you know, whatever that root word is, you know. It might be the A-Team, if you like the A-Team, right? So you have the A-Team, you know, is your simple password, or in my case, like you grew up on Columbus Avenue. Well, Columbus Avenue with a capital C and a capital A is probably a password people wouldn't be able to guess. And it's a simple password, so I wouldn't use it for anything like a bank or a credit card. I would use Columbus Ave as a simple password to get into Jimmy John's, or maybe my Disney Plus account, something simple. Now you're going to have some, like your credit cards or Facebook or Gmail is going to go, that's not complicated enough. So then you're going to have like a layer 2 password, something a little bit more complicated. And what you can do is you can just like add a special character to the beginning of it, like a $. And then for your bank, that needs to be a lot more. You can put a $sign in front of it, and then maybe like the year you were born, the year you graduated, after it. So that is one password that you really only have to remember Columbus Avenue, but you have 3 levels of Columbus Avenue. Columbus Avenue, $sign Columbus Avenue, or $, whatever you want, and then maybe $, Columbus Avenue, 1964. Right? Now that's a complicated password. Okay? So then when you sit down and you haven't been to this website in a while and you go, oh, what did I put in? Well, it's probably just one of those. Right? And you're not using the same password across multiple sites, but then you've really only got 3 passwords to worry about. If your password gets compromised, or after a year or so, if you think, it might be time to change up my passwords, just change the root word. Keep the special character the same, keep the number the same, but change Columbus Avenue to, I don't know, Blue Island, which is where I was born. Blue Island, $sign Blue Island, or $sign Blue Island 1952. So then that way, okay, if it's a website you haven't been there to for a while, well, it's either going to be Columbus Avenue or Blue Island, and it could have a $sign or a year. That's going to help. We come up with a formula. So and keep that formula and just kind of make like 3 different levels or maybe 4 levels and then write them down. When you are writing down a password, you need to write 3 things down. You need to write down the website that the password belongs to, the username, and the password. All 3 of those things. Because I have people come into my help desk and they're like, oh, I need help with my email. I'm like, well, what's your password? And they pull out a password piece of paper with 50 passwords written on it, but nothing else. It's like, well, where do these passwords belong to? I don't know. But I wrote down the password, but we don't know what website it belongs to. We don't know what the username was. So then we're trying all these different random passwords. So in your little blue book that I gave you, write down the website that it belongs to, jimmyjohns.com. My username, it's probably your email address. Most of the time it is, not always. Your bank and your credit cards may say, no, no, no. You need to have an actual username. You can't use your email address. The reason they do that is because email addresses change, right? And then you got your credit card that you've been using for 6 years, but you changed your email address and now you're logging in with an old email. That can be a problem. So a lot of those will say, okay, don't make your username, your email address, you make it like your first and last name or something, right? But write those down. So the website that it belongs to, the username, and the password, write all 3 of those things down. Okay. Logging into your browser and having your browser save those 2 is an extra added feature that I recommend that you do. There are third-party password managers. Google's works just fine. It is safe. People will tell you it's not. I had a student worker come in and go, nope, that Google Password Manager is not safe. You can get to it like that. I'm like, really? Get to it. Couldn't do it. I said, yeah, you said it was so easy. Yeah, 17-year-olds, you know.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to talk about some common scams. You'll see these on the internet, but maybe not. Maybe you'll just get a phone call. I think the biggest ones are imposter scams. And you see these with the fake alerts that pop up. You know, oh, call this number and we'll get rid of your virus. You never had a virus. It was an advertisement. And you get a hold of them and they'll say, oh, okay, well, give us your credit card number. You know, that's a scam. But just getting phone calls, a lot of those can be imposter scams. And now with artificial intelligence, it's really easy to replicate voices. Okay, and even before that, we were seeing imposter scams of people. And I've met a couple of people who they just got a phone call. It was a scratchy line. Grandma, I need help. I'm on spring break and I'm down in Florida. I'm in jail. I need $1,000. I need $2,000. Yeah, call your parents. Right. Well, you know, and Grandma can't hear so well anymore, and the scratchy line. And, okay, don't tell your parents, honey. I'll go get my wallet. And you know why grandparents and grandchildren get along so well? It's because they both have a common enemy. Yeah, why?
If I can remember this correctly, that happened to me. My grandson was away at college, and he called. It was a late night call, and he said he was in jail. And I told him, did he call his dad? And he said no. So I said, well, you know what? I don't deal with that. You need to call your father. But see,
What happened then? Please don't make me call my dad.
he said grandma, but that's not what my grandson calls me.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing that saved me.
Yeah.
Because it sounded really like him. And besides, I don't handle any of that.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
he said, so would you call your parents? You don't call me.
yeah.
And so that's the only thing that saved me.
So another kind of scam is a romance scam. So All right, so this, I see my mother's Facebook account. I see this all the time. She knows better. But you know, you never know. 'Cause you might not get enough sleep the night before and not know better the next day.
She monitor her stuff, but she monitors your stuff.
She monitors me all the time. She does. I went to vote the other day and she texted me. Well, I share my location with her. It comforts her. So, fine. Yeah, right. And she'll, are you with the doctor? I'm like, I'm voting, Mom. She's like, oh, good. Huh?
Are you only child?
No, we lost my sister about 7, 8 years ago. So that's one of the reasons I share my location with her, because that helps. But then it also scares her to death at times. If I like go vote and it's next to the doctor's office, I'm like, oh my God, are you at the doctor? I'm like, Mom, it's fine. But she'll get people on her Facebook commenting, and it's always it's a pattern. It's always a gentleman, a good-looking gentleman in the military who's widowed and living overseas and not in the country, right? And he's got a bunch of pictures of him doing kind of like heroic, you know. And he's like, oh, I really like your profile. You know, you're an interesting person. And, you know, she's a single woman, you know. She's written off men, so she doesn't care at all. She's like, forget that. It's not like she's written off men for women. She's just written off dating. She's like done with that. But you see that all the time. And it does trick people. They think it's a real person. And they get into a conversation, you know, and then at some point money's going to come involved. But the men see a different thing. I get a lot of text messages and messages through social media, and it's always a very attractive Asian woman about mid-20s. You get the same one, right. What? Well, you know.
I never got it, so.
And it's usually an attractive Asian.
Yeah, right,
Wow.
like that.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, and it's probably just a fat Russian guy is who it is. And what that fat Russian guy is doing is he's digging around on the Instagram accounts of young, attractive Asian women, stealing pictures. You can just take the pictures off the internet, making up new little things, and then, you know. And I have a good friend of mine who's an older gentleman. He's a professional. He's a doctor. He's a psychiatrist. And but he wanted to get back into the dating pool. So, and you know, he's old. He's like, well, I'm going to do some online dating. And it was constant fake things, right? And he got to the point where he's just like, okay, you're an interesting person. You know, and they weren't all young Asian women. They were more kind of like tailored to be a scam, you know. And he said, okay, well, let's FaceTime. Let's do a little, you know, computer so I can actually, and then all communication stopped because it was a scam, right? So these romance scams are, when you're lonely, it's attractive. And that's what they're feeding on people's loneliness. And we have a lot of that in society today. So just be aware. I had a man come in to my help desk, not at this library, at a different library I worked at, and said, you know, I've been talking to this girl on the internet. We've been talking for a couple months, and she's nice, and she's funny, and I like her and all that. But, you know, she was going to get kicked out of her house, so I sent her like $1,200, and, you know, and then something else happened, so I sent her another $500. Now I'm starting to think that, yeah, she might not be legitimate, right? So I said, well, show me this woman's picture. So shows me a picture. I said, well, let's just do a Google image search. You can go to Google, and there's an image search button. So you can take any picture, and you can just click and drag it to the image, and it'll search the internet for that picture. So I took that image, and I slapped it in there, and it found the person's Facebook profile that the picture was stolen from. And she was not at all who she was talking to. It was a real woman. And he's like, oh, that's not who I was talking to at all, who I've been talking to. I'm like, probably a fat Russian guy. I don't know. But nobody, you know, or a Nigerian, right? Or you get a lot of Nigerian stuff. Right. So we don't know who it is, but it's not her, you know. And then after I said, well, you know what? Stop sending her money, you know, stuff like that. And then he said, well, okay, there's this other girl I've been talking to. No!
You went from one to another, huh?
And it could have been the same It could have been the same guy, double dipping. I don't know. But anyway, so, yeah, romance scam,
Website and password.
the family grandparent scam, is it? Okay, people get phone calls saying, this is Microsoft. Microsoft will never call you. This is Comcast. Doubtful? Just say, I'll call you back. What's your Comcast extension? I'll just call you right back, right? Microsoft's not, Google will never call you. But people a lot of times get phone calls, say, this is Microsoft, you got a problem, go over to your computer. Do not let anybody have remote control over your computer. That is really quickly a big red flag. Because they're going to talk to say, okay, well, you got a virus, but we can get rid of it real quick. I just need access to your computer. So go to this website and give me access to your computer. Don't. If that has happened to you, get off the internet, shut off the computer, bring it into help desk, and we'll make sure everything's cleaned up. Make sure they didn't put anything malicious, because that's how they can get spyware on your computer. Remember I said people need access to your computer to get that stuff on there? It's hard to hack a computer. It's easy to hack us. That's why they stopped trying to get viruses on the computer and started trying to trick us, because we default to truth. We are social people, and as a society, we have to. We have to just generally trust people. There comes a point where too much bad information tips the balance, and we go, wait a minute. But there is always going to be that little point where we're going to trust people, which means that we're always going to be susceptible to these scams. So when you do get scammed, don't beat yourself up. It's part of how we work. It's part of being human. We're just going to be susceptible to these scams. Okay. Yeah, so some of the other ones, Social Security is a big one. Do you owe taxes? And the police are coming right now. They're right around the corner. You better get your credit card, or they're coming. It's like, well, can't I just give them my credit card when they get here? Yeah.
But sometimes when people are trying to sell me something over the phone,
Yeah.
and they start asking me information, so I just tell them, send it in the mail. And I don't get anything.
Yeah.
If I don't get anything in the mail, then
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Some websites are not what they appear. And they call them spoofing websites.
spoofing.
Right. Because any image you see on the internet is easy to save to your computer. So you go to your bank account, it's PNC Bank, and it's got a big PNC logo. You can right-click on that PNC logo and just download that image to your computer. So it's really easy to build a brand new website that looks just like the login page for your bank. It is. The problem is if you look in your address bar, your bank, it'll tell you if you're at your bank or not at your bank. So if you look at this eBay website, for example, this is something that actually happened to me many, many years ago. If you look up in your address bar, you're like, wait a minute, that's a weird number, that's not ebay.com. This is a spoofing site trying to steal. And this happened to me. That's why I use this example. I was selling something on eBay. I tend to sell my cars on eBay. An auction is a fun way to sell a car. I get good money for the cars. They bid them up. It's fun. Somebody sent me a message through eBay that said, oh, is this your listing also? And a link. Oh, I clicked on the link, thinking it was going to send me to a different auction page. I was selling a few things on eBay. And what it came to was this. And I said, oh, I must have gotten logged out. Because that happens, right? You're working on your bank, then all of a sudden it says, oh, you logged out, put in your password again. So I start typing in my user ID and my password, but my roommate was sitting next to me and goes, whoa, stop. That's not eBay. I didn't even look. I looked up at this top thing, and it was not eBay. So this is a website that looks like it's eBay, but if I would have put in my username and password and hit log in, it would have given my username and password to somebody else. And that happens a lot.
So
That is how some of these accounts get compromised.
So that means we can look up in that address viewer and find out who they actually are.
Correct. Most of the time, it's going to be overseas, somewhere out of the reach of law, because these website addresses, you got to provide an address and a phone number to the government. So you have to have a contact
Here in America,
here.
not
Right.
overseas.
Right.
Gotcha.
And it can be even falsified overseas. So that's why a lot of these scams are coming from overseas, because it's hard for our legal system to go to Russia, Nigeria, and extract. Not impossible. There was recently a really big scam that the United States government busted. I think it was in Israel. And the Israeli government turned them over. And just said, oh, yeah, okay, you found them. Yeah, here they are. And they went and arrested them, and it's extradition. But see, different countries have different extradition treaties and stuff like that. So it's typically countries that will not extradite. Now, and that's why I think we see a lot of stuff from Russia and Nigeria, because I don't think they're going to extradite anybody in the United States for trial. It's a guess,
We have to go in
but I
and
think that's a
stand.
good guess.
I always mispronounce this. It's either Tubi
Central,
or
yeah, well.
Tubi. It's T.
Oh, Tubi.
Yeah. It's a lot. I mean, I had an account there with them, but I'm afraid to buy anything now because I don't know if it's a scam or if it's the real site.
That's a legitimate concern.
I don't know about the TV channel. I don't know.
No, Timu. She means Timu.
Timu. So you buy them shirts?
And
I gotta try
So
to
you
sit
said
out.
look up in the browser?
Look up in the browser. So
I don't roust them.
the name of the website you're looking at is in the address bar of the browser.
Okay.
And you missed the browser class, but if you want to come in to help desk, we'll get you caught up. So if you want to go to a website, you just type in that website name and it'll take you there. If you click on a link, it can also take you to a website, but it'll display in the address bar where what website you're on. And if you're looking at a website that looks just like your bank,
Yeah.
and you look up in the address bar, but that's not your bank's website, it's a spoof. It's trying to trick you. Okay, so here's an example of how a spoofing site can compromise somebody's email or Facebook or bank or anything. They'll send you a link, you click on the link, the Associated Press. That's a legitimate journalistic, and what they do is they send out news releases to all the other news organizations, and they have a Twitter account. Back then it was called Twitter. They have a Twitter account, so if it was a major news event, they would put on Twitter, okay, this just happened in the world. It was an Associated Press account. Well, somebody spoofed them, and one of the AP journalists clicked on the link, thought they had accidentally logged out of Twitter, logged back in, and hit enter, but then they got an error because it gave the username and password to some bad actor. And then the Associated Press Twitter account started tweeting out fake news, like ridiculous stuff. And then it was harmless. It was just but that AP account got hacked on Twitter and started putting out just ridiculous stuff. It's not always harmless, though. So if you remember back, we're all old enough to remember when Hillary Clinton ran for president. She was getting a lot of grief for having what they called an unsecured email server that her and Bill Clinton were using. Now, nowadays, almost every website is what they call secured. Okay? If you go to a website that's not secured, your browser will say, this is an unsecured website, and the information that you're exchanging between your computer and this website could be spied upon by other people. That you should pay close attention to. Okay? That's rare, though. And the reason almost every website out there is secure now is because these browsers do that. So I had a library website. I don't care if it's secure. You're not giving me any sensitive information. You're looking up books. Who cares if it's secure? But then one day, if people went to my library website, they got this message that they were on an unsecured browser, and it scared people. So I had to secure the library website just so people didn't get that message anymore. When you are on a secured website, that means that the information that you type in on your computer that goes over the internet is encrypted. And when it gets to Amazon, which is a secure website, they unencrypt the data. So if you type in your credit card number on your computer into an Amazon website, the path over the internet that it takes to get to Amazon is encrypted. You remember back in the old days, TV shows, if the FBI was tapping, they'd put, like, park a van across the street,
Yes.
right? Well, what they would do is they could just literally, remember, and you remember if you picked up the phone upstairs, you could hear somebody downstairs talking? Well, that's all they did. They just tapped into the phone line that was going to the house, and they could just, it would be the same as if somebody was upstairs listening to the phone call. You can do the same thing with internet traffic. That wire that's giving you the internet out of your house, you can put like a clamp on it, and you can listen to all the ones and zeros in the data that's going over that, and you can tap into somebody's internet. That's how they could get passwords and stuff, but it's hard to do. But now with an encrypted website, if they were to do that, they would get gobbledygook because it's encrypted. It's encoded on your computer, then sent over the lines and decoded when it gets to Amazon or Google or whatever website that is secured on the other end, okay? So that's what a secure connection to a website is.
So my,
What was the URL?
when they did not allow President Obama to have, phones and stuff like that, was his secured or not?
Those were all secured.
Okay.
Those were all secured. Now, see, the thing is with Hillary Clinton and her unsecured email server, the reason it was unsecured is because if you don't remember this, I remember this because I was a computer guy at the time. Bill Clinton was kind of a techie nerd, and so was Al Gore when they were in the presidency back in the 90s. And that's when the internet came out. Al Gore was very instrumental to bring the internet to the public the way we know it now. Bill Clinton famously put the first email in the White House. Right? There was no email in the White House until Bill Clinton put an email server in. Back then, there was no such thing as a secure server. It didn't exist yet. It wasn't a thing that people thought about. So he could get email in and out. So that same email server has been used by the Clintons for years. And about the time that she was running for president was when all of these websites were starting to get secured. Not all of them were yet. But the political opponents of hers found out that she was emailing on an unsecured server, so technically it could have been tapped. It wasn't, though. It was never tapped. You know whose email was tapped by Russia? Her campaign manager, John Podesta. John Podesta's emails got hacked by Russia. John Podesta was on a secured server. But Russia sent him a link that looked like his email with a username and password, but it was a spoofed website. And he didn't notice it. So what did he do? He put in his username and his password. He hit login. He gave his login information on a secured server to Russia. Russia then made a copy of all of his emails and then selectively released them to the public to damage Hillary Clinton's campaign because Russia didn't want Hillary Clinton to be president. So that is an example of, okay, what is a secured server? Well, it keeps the communication. But if you've got a username and password and you're spoofed, it doesn't matter if it's secured. If you're going to give away your username and password and get tricked this way, it doesn't matter. Hillary Clinton was using a secured server, and nobody ever got any of those emails, oddly enough. The secured server got out. So that's where these spoofing sites come in. And this is a real easy way for people to get access to secured stuff just by tricking you into doing that. So it's important if you're worried about it, just look up here. You know, if you think your username and password might have gotten compromised this way, just change your password. Go to the real eBay, just say, I want to change my password, change it to something else, and then you know what? No one can get into your account anymore. So it's an easy fix if you think you might have gotten compromised this way.
What was the abbreviation URL again?
It's a uniform resource locator. And so a domain name is like CNN.com. The URL is when you're linking to a page on CNN.com, like CNN.com/politics/2024. That's a URL.
I wrote it down, but I didn't write.
Right, uniform resource locator,
Yeah, right.
you don't have
I wanna
to,
break off.
you don't have to memorize.
I
There will be no test.
I was just thinking for myself, like,
Yeah.
because I keep looking at that same URL and don't know the name.
Okay, some common red flags for scams is a sense of urgency. When the scammer is going to pressure you to act immediately, saying that you're going to miss a limited offer or face a dire consequence, like you owe back taxes and the IRS is coming right now to arrest you. That was a common one for a while. Unusual payment methods, gift cards. See, most people think, I've been telling you that you need to make your bank account super secure with your username and password, but to be perfectly honest with you, if somebody were to hack into your bank account online, what could they do? Not much, turns out. I ask people, would you voluntarily publish online your bank account number and your routing number? People go, no, it's written on the bottom of our checks. Right? So when you write a check to that drunk guy working at the convenience store at the corner, you just gave that guy your address, your name, your signature, your bank account number, your routing number. So all that's not as secure as you think it is. Not only that, is I know somebody whose bank account, they remote controlled into this person's computer. And it was a scam. They talked this person into giving them remote control. In one of their browser tabs, the bank account was logged into. And that person went into the bank account, and the only thing this person could do with access to the bank account was transfer money from a savings account to a checking account. They couldn't steal money, they could just move it around. So this person went in there and did that. Transferred like $20,000 out of this person's savings account, moved it over to the checking account, and then told the person, listen, if you don't go and get me gift cards and send me those gift card numbers, I stole $20,000 out of your savings account, I'll give it back to you. They didn't steal anything. It was a ruse. They just moved it because they can't steal it out of the bank account. If somebody were to get your username and password to your bank account, what could they do? Even if they wired money to somebody else, that creates an electronic trail that your bank can track. They know where that's going. That's fraud. They can go and find that out. So nobody's going to wire money to other people because you're going to find those other people. So you don't want your username and password for your bank to get out, but it's not as dangerous as you might think. Okay. So therefore, unusual payment methods is a great way for people to get scammed. So they'll say, oh, go and get Best Buy gift cards and give me the number for the Best Buy gift cards. Or Apple Store gift cards.
They even messing with them too, I'm sorry.
Yeah, they do. And I don't know exactly how they do it, but Walmart, they have a way of, it's an untraceable way that they can get money out of it. I'm not sure how, but gift cards, Apple and iTunes, Google Play, Amazon. Cryptocurrency is another one. Okay, that is supposed to be an untraceable. It's not as untraceable as many people think. In many cases, it can be traceable. Wire transfers. Those are very hard to trace and recover money from. So that is going to be a red flag. As soon as somebody says, oh, go get a gift card, you're like, wait a minute. If the offer sounds too good to be true, if it offers massive or guaranteed profits or prizes or winnings. There was classic Nigeria scam going around. It was like, oh, I'm from Nigeria and I just won $20 million, but I can't access it until I have, so I'll give you $1 million if you just give me $5,000 and I can complete this, and then you never hear it. That was a common one. So, prize winning, lottery winnings, all that kind of stuff. Those are common scams.
I got a call that I won Publishers Clearinghouse.
Ooh.
My goodness, Publishers Clearinghouse.
Does that still exist?
And so I said, you need to fix something.
Yeah. What is this, 1978?
They got to stop. They got to stop. I heard
Hello, this is Columbia Record Club. Yeah, right? Some of the other red flags, requests for remote access to the computer, we already talked about. That is almost always a big, big red flag. If you don't know that person, do not give them access to your computer. Don't ever give them those pins and numbers. That's a reason when your bank or Google sends you that temporary code to change a password, it says, nobody will ask you for this. They have trained everybody at the bank not to send you a link and not to ask you for codes like that, because that's the way scammers get it. And also unsolicited contact. If the communication is completely unexpected and it comes from a source that you didn't initiate, you need to be wary of that. Okay? If you don't get scammed, don't blame yourself. Come talk to me. We talked about this already. It happens. It's just something that happens. Okay. So let's talk. What?
The sucker was a good one. Stop and think before you do something, right?
Oh. I had a little video on algorithms that I was going to send you, but this YouTube video is no longer available.
Oh,
Okay, so, well, let me talk to you a little bit about what an algorithm is. So, an algorithm is a computer program that monitors your activity to recommend other things to you.
Yeah.
And a lot of time, and we've been using it for years, and a lot of times it's a good thing. That's how Netflix can recommend what you might want to see next. And it does a surprisingly good job. It turns out we're pretty easy to figure out.
Action, science fiction, and horror movies.
Right. So yeah, I watch a lot of science fiction too. And I watch no romance. So it never recommends the romance. It recommends
I see it on my-
stupid science fiction movies. Yeah. So that's what an algorithm is doing. Okay. An algorithm is also kind of advertising things to you. And all right, so I have people ask me all the time, is my phone listening to me? Is my phone listening to me and then advertising to me? Because I was just talking to my friend about blah, blah, blah. And then I go over to my phone and now I'm seeing ads for blah, blah, blah. I think my phone is listening to me. And I say, your phone is not listening to you. And I think people first think I'm trying to appease them, right? And say, oh, don't worry about that. It's not. It's worse than your phone listening to you. The algorithm knows this about you without listening to you. So it's worse. The algorithm is good enough to just, you got to realize where a lot of these algorithms are coming to. Who's on Facebook fairly regularly? Anybody?
teenagers.
Well, I mean, just here in class. I mean, if you're on Facebook, you occasionally see ads, and now I'm seeing advertisements that say, oh, this friend also likes this,
Yeah,
right?
they'll have both of their names in there.
Then you'll see their names up there, right? And, well, Facebook knows that because Facebook,
friends.
because you're friends, right? Sometimes that's not a bad thing, right? You know, it's like, oh, your buddy Rodney, who's a musician I work with, likes this page. Oh, that's an interesting page about music. You know, so sometimes that's a good thing. But those things can also be used to target advertisements to you. Your phone has location data on it, so it knows where you're at, all right? And a lot of times that can be handy. Your phone will ask you, if you install the Best Buy app to buy things on Best Buy, it's going to pop up and say, oh, can we use your phone's location? Well, for Best Buy, I trust Best Buy enough. I say, yeah, because they're going to tell me what the sale is at the closest Best Buy that I'm to. It's using the location data to say, oh, well, you're in East Chicago. The Best Buy down over here on Indianapolis Boulevard's got it on sale for blah, blah, blah. And that's what it's doing when it does that. But also some of these apps can use that to advertise things to you, right? So you might be walking near a Jimmy John's, and Jimmy John's is going to pop up an ad and go, hey, are you hungry? There's a Jimmy John's right there. So not only is this algorithm being fed by your activity on the phone, but possibly by people you're connected with on social media. Maybe what they like, maybe your location. These algorithms are surprisingly effective. First of all, your phone does listen to you to say commands for the assistant. But if it were listening to everything I say and trying to parse out words like shoes or Jimmy John's, there would be a big battery drain on the phone, first of all. Second of all, there's a lot of computer geeks out there that would lose their shit if that happened and would let everybody know. And this has happened in the past. Okay, for example, you have a cell phone for a couple of years, 2-3 years, and then it starts getting slow. And you're like, are they making this slow? I'm getting all these updates on the phone. Are they making my phone slow on purpose so I have to go out and buy a new phone? That was a thing for a while. The answer was no, until one day Apple did it, for real. And all the computer geeks found the code that did it. And they went right to the internet and posted it, and it hit the news, and it was a huge thing. Everybody, all these reporters called Apple and go, hey, you are slowing down this phone with this latest update. Are you trying to do it to keep people? And Apple said, no, it's an old phone, and the batteries are starting to go bad, so we lowered the processor to help battery life. That was their excuse. But the computer geeks found it right away. So if I'm not saying these phones are listening to us now, they may in the future, but when that does happen, I have a pretty good feeling we'll all hear about it. Right now, it doesn't need to listen to us to advertise things. It can just look at our habits, our buying patterns, maybe even our friends. Target famously could tell if a woman was pregnant just by the things that she was buying. And this is a real case. You can look it up on the internet. It happened in, I think, Wisconsin. And a father went to Target and said, okay, my daughter is getting advertisements for pregnancy things, and she's 16 years old, and I don't want her to get these advertisements. And the manager of the store said, I'll call corporate. I'll make sure this all stops. He called corporate and said, we got to stop advertising to this gentleman, called that gentleman back and said, I stopped all advertising. And the gentleman said, okay, my daughter's pregnant. You outed my daughter just based on the things that she was buying. It's the algorithm. The algorithm can tell stuff about us. So when people say, is the phone listening to me? No, it's worse. It can tell that about you without listening to you. So that's what an algorithm does. So let's just take the next 10 minutes and talk a little bit about some of the pros and cons of being social on the internet. Being social on the internet has done some great things. The Arab Spring was attributed to Twitter and some of these online things. It can get people together on common values, and it can really do good things. It's a tool like any other tool. Tools can be used for good, and tools can be used for evil, okay? But some of the cons for social media is it does spread a fair amount of misinformation, okay? There's a lot of just bad information out there. And it's easy for us, especially if it's something we want to believe, right? We may have a political view, right or left, and something comes in, and it's really juicy about our opponent, somebody we don't like, and we instantly go and share it with all of our friends. And then our friends go, that's not true. That happens. It's happened to me. It's happened to a lot of people I know. Do the responsible thing, apologize, delete it. We don't need more misinformation in this world, okay? There's plenty enough to worry about without us adding to it, okay? There are places you can go online, and we talk about this in the media literacy class. Factcheck.org is a website where you can look to see if some of these common scams that are going on. Yeah. PolitiFact.org is for political things. There's a lot of misinformation going on in politics. That's nothing new. It's just easier and spreads faster when you have computers and social media. Okay. ChatGPT. Yeah. That's an artificial intelligence tool.
And that's truthful?
It's not, it's a tool. It's like asking if a pencil is truthful. It depends on what it writes, right? And we'll next week, or not next week is election day. The week after that, we're having a whole class on artificial intelligence. We talk about ChatGPT. Google has got their own AI tool called Gemini.
Yeah.
Microsoft has got their own called Copilot. They're all the same thing. Basically, we have taught computers how to speak and how to reason. Not how to pretend how to speak and reason. They can really speak and they can really reason. And that's a whole new thing. A lot of what we're seeing on social media today is AI generated. And it's hard to tell what's real and what's not real for that very reason. That's why.
Doom scrolling you have up there. What's that?
Okay, so doom scrolling. There's something they call the attention economy. That is, the people who make these phones, make the apps on these phones, are vying for your attention. The more you can stay on an app, the more they can keep your attention, the more they advertise dollars that you get. So what they do is, so what they do is they work with people in the psychology industry to figure out ways to keep your attention. If you notice, if you ever go to YouTube and watch a video, now videos automatically start after that. It's a way to keep your attention, right? They're trying to keep your attention. Right.
Same thing with music.
With what?
Music.
Music, right. So doom scrolling is what happens, and the kids named it, which I think is great, because if you're ever on a social media site or you're using TikTok or Twitter or Facebook or something like that, and you find yourself just mindlessly scrolling, and it's not even enjoyable, but it's kind of hard to put down, right? What it's doing, it's affecting the way our body regulates dopamine, which is a chemical in our brain. Okay? It's addicting us in very much the same way that gambling addiction works. It's not about the win in gambling addiction, it's actually more about the loss. When you lose in gambling, you're more apt to gamble more to try and win. So when you see things that aren't even good, you tend to scroll more to find something good. Anyway, it's an addiction. And the kids started calling it doom scrolling because they're like, because we're giving these smartphones to kids. And they're like, I don't even like doing this. Why am I doing this for hours at a time? They call it doom scrolling, right? It takes mindfulness to realize you're doing it and put that down. I mean, I don't do it anymore, but there was a time I'd be sitting at home with my partner watching something on TV, and I'd be fully engrossed in a TV show, and just for some reason I'm already being entertained with something. Why do I need this too? I don't need this, right? But there's a pull to it, okay? So that is a problem. They are designing these apps to keep your attention on purpose. Yeah.
The analog or whatever you just talked to about before that, the same topics come up.
Right.
Analog.
The algorithm.
Yeah, like I like health things that come over my phone, and I'm steadily looking at recipes, looking at ways to, increase my health and
Right.
all those things keep coming up.
Yeah, that's part of the algorithm, and to keep your attention, because it's easy for the computer program. The algorithm is just a computer program to notice what you stop on and watch. Okay. So if you're on TikTok and it's a bunch of little short videos, you see something you're not interested in, you just swipe it away.
Yeah.
Then you see something you're interested in, you watch it through. Well, it teaches the algorithm, oh, that's what you like, put in more of that. Then you stop on something different, and it goes, that's what you like, put in more of that. Okay. So the algorithm is building what we call an information bubble. And that's the next topic, creating an information bubble. So what happens is it's only giving you information that it thinks you're going to like. It's not giving you any opposing viewpoints, right? That's where a lot of this information gets spread around. We have people who are stuck in their own information bubble because their algorithm is only giving them things that it thinks they like. So if they stop and watch a video that says, the earth isn't round, the earth is flat, well, then it's going to start giving them more videos about the earth being flat. Before you know it, everything they see on their phone is about the earth being flat, so how could it be round? Right? That's an information bubble. And that is causing the information economy, the attention economy. They are purposely trying to keep your attention, and they're keeping you in an information bubble, and it's spreading misinformation, and it's causing a lot of problems. We have a whole class on it, the misinformation, media literacy and misinformation class. It's really important. I do it twice a year. I recommend you go to that. Michael Puente is a really good guest, and we have to fight this misinformation now, especially with AI, and we'll learn in the AI class, it is really easy to fake people, voices, audio, all of that can just be made where it's undistinguishable from the real thing. So it's more important than ever to realize that what we're seeing might not be real. Sometimes we know it's not real, but it's entertaining. There's these little videos on Facebook of, and it looks as real can be, of these cats. And they look just like a real cat, but they're like kung fu fighting people, right? And it's like, well, it's like nobody's trying to trick. I know that cat's not really kung fu fighting, but it's hilarious, right? It's hilarious to see. So some of it is good. It's just like AI is just like any other tool. It's how we use it. A pencil can be used for good and bad. The creation of the ship also created the shipwreck.
Well, something that came up on my phone the other day, and it said something about President Trump being shot at again.
Yeah. Well, kinda. Kinda. I'm surprised he's not being shot at more, personally, but.
I mean, aren't they supposed to check everybody who goes in a building that he's in?
I listen to NPR in the mornings most days, not every day, because another problem with some of this is we live in a 24-hour information cycle, and it can be too much. When we were young, we got news at 5, 7, and 9, and that was it.
Yeah,
And
12 o'clock.
right now, it's 24/7. It's all over our phones. It's all, our minds are not built for that kind of inundation of media. So we need to kind of back off from that a little bit. So what I do is I don't have any news on the weekends, and I compartmentalize. It's important for us to stay informed as citizens. So the shooting thing I heard this morning. So it was a gentleman from California, and he wrote his reasonings online and posted it because he knew he was going to get caught. And he said that he had gripes with the administration, and he was going to shoot him up. He never made it into the ballroom. It was the White House, the correspondence dinner, the press correspondence dinner, where all of the press go, and normally they have a comedian that roasts the president and other people and stuff like that. Trump has never gone to any of these except for this year.
Right.
And
You
then,
wanna talk about everybody else.
yeah, right. So Obama gave him the what for 1 year, and I don't think he went back. What?
He hasn't forgotten it since.
No, he's still pretty upset about that. And it was a roast. What do you expect?
Everything was funny.
It was funny. Obama could have went on a comedy tour when he left. He had a good sense of humor. So the gunman was on the second floor above the ballroom, and he tried to run past security, and they caught him before. But I guess he did manage to get a shot off into a security guard that had a bulletproof vest. So nobody was injured.
Like I
Yeah,
said,
this information.
he was supposed, everybody who comes into the building is supposed to be checked.
Well, right. So this guy was a guest. So he had checked into his room prior to the event, and he was just staying in the hotel. I also found out today this was the hotel that Ronald Reagan was shot in front of.
Oh, the one that he's.
Yeah. Okay, so the next thing is we should talk about is the conspiracy theories that go around about this. Okay? There are a lot of people out there saying he wasn't shot in the ear in the first place. It was a conspiracy theory. This is a false flag. It's all a conspiracy theory. I don't know, and I would say that we should not jump on that bandwagon. And here's why. We need to trust the press. We have a legitimate press, and I have criticisms of the press and the mainstream press. But overall, and Michael Puente will back me up on this, they are trained to be truthful. They are trained to go out and find the truth. If the mainstream press isn't reporting it, it probably is just a conspiracy theory and it's not true. And you got to remember what a conspiracy theory is. A theory, by definition, is not true. It's theoretical. Theories are not true until there's evidence to back up the theories and we can prove it. Okay? So it's probably very attractive to hear these conspiracy theories, believe them, and spread them around. But until I hear it from legitimate press, I'm not going to believe it. And I think we should all be on that same plane because it works both ways. I mean, some of the conspiracy theories around Obama and his birth certificate and every other politician in there, these conspiracy theories go around. We shouldn't be part of that. It may be true, it may not be true, but right now, we should reserve our judgment until we really know.
The thing about that mass shooting, you didn't hear the first report from the legitimate press. You heard it from his press, that he was tackled, he got felled.
Yeah.
Video shows that he tripped over his own feet.
Yeah.
And then they're not even sure if he shot that Secret Service guy, or was it friendly fire?
That could be true too. So this is another reason why we need to trust the press, because politicians lie. Well, we all know that. And why is a free press in the First Amendment of our Constitution? It's because our forefathers knew that these politicians are going to lie, right? And if we have a politician saying, I'm telling the truth and the press is fake, that's a huge red flag. The press is there on purpose to keep these politicians honest as best as they can. So I would say always trust the press above a politician. And with that being said, you know how it is. You know how partisan politics are. People twist things and they lie hey, lying is human nature. We all do it to a certain extent. Okay, it's just human nature. But not being part of the problem, because the problem is getting worse. Yes.
Isn't that is the cause of what a lot of governments fall, because the presidents and the dictators take over the press?
Yeah. Hungary just voted out a real bad person who, I'm actually surprised they got Orban out of Hungary. He was doing a lot of bad stuff. And he was being a dictator out there. But they voted him out. You know? So.
Our press is being, I think, that our press is being influenced by our government. And I don't feel that we need something that's just a little more honest, that are not connected in terms of funding and getting money, that they're going to tell the truth regardless of what.
That is a very legitimate concern. And a lot of press nowadays is also influenced by money. And they have an attention economy too. They want to keep your attention. The more people who can watch, that's why they call it what it bleeds leads, right? If it's violent and horrible and something that you're going to watch like a train wreck, that's what they're going to show, because that gains viewership. So while there are very good, legitimate concerns about the press, that is our best hope right now, is the legitimate press.
What bleeds leads.
Yeah, what bleeds leads
Okay.
is that's an old saying. I didn't come up with that. That's something that's been around for a long time. You know. And that's another. So, and we, like I said, we do a 2-hour talk about this in the media literacy and misinformation. I just wanted to give you an overview now. But with the bleeds it leads thing is, I mean, we live right outside of Chicago. And I go to Chicago all the time to see concerts. I have musician friends that I work with on a regular basis. I'm in and out of Chicago all the time. And I've been in and out of Chicago since the early 90s. I got my first job downtown in 91. And I am shocked when I travel around the world and the country, how many people are like, oh my God, how do you live? You went to Chicago and you came home and you didn't get shot? And it's like, man, well, first of all, I've been going to Chicago for decades now, and the crime rate has been steadily falling this entire time. It's safer in Chicago now than it was in the 90s by far, by a huge matter. But you know what it is? We have 24-hour news that is bleeds, it leads. We are constantly being inundated with shooting. There's millions of people in Chicago. Of course there's going to be a shooting every day. The crime rate is higher in Indianapolis.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a smaller group of people, so it doesn't get as much news, and you don't hear it around here. So I had somebody, and they were from India. It's like, how do you go to Chicago? I'm like, crime rate's higher in Indianapolis. They're like, no, it's not. I'm like, it's higher in Indianapolis. And you're not afraid to walk around Indianapolis. So the problem is we're being inundated with negative media, and it's making it feel like it's a much worse problem than it is. So.
Because I go to Chicago a lot, and I have some friends that I said, well, come on, go to Chicago with me. And they said, oh, no, I can't go to Chicago. And I said, but you live in Gary.
I know. Or East Chicago. I don't know if you looked around, but my mom said that to me. I got a job in East Chicago. Like, oh, isn't it dangerous in East Chicago? I'm like, you're from Calumet City. So, it's a problem. It's a big problem. We're getting inundated with negative media, and we need to wrestle with that. And that's one of the reasons more and more libraries all across the country are having misinformation and media literacy classes, because we're all being misinformed on a big level, and we just kind of have to sort it out ourselves. That's all we can do. So, okay, that's all we got, because we got to get out of here by 8 because the library's closing. Thank you. No class next week. The week after, artificial intelligence, and I'll make sure that Yvonne calls everybody and reminds you. And thank you so much.
No, thank you. And the bullshit continues.
That it does.
Talking about changing the signature block, phone number.
Oh, yeah. Do you have your computer? Yes, I do. Fire up your Outlook while I tear this stuff down, and I'll be right there.
All these things, they shoot at that man, they need to hit him. That'll change the picture totally.
It will.
That's right.
It will, but
I wonder then would Vance step in. Okay?
I'm gonna take Obama's lead. That political violence is never a good answer. At the same time, I hear what you're saying. I understand. It's a rough time right now.
I will see you because I got the Bible on my phone.
Oh, yeah. I'll show you how to download it as an ebook. It's way better.
To get it all.
You should have, if you don't, do you have an Android phone?
Yeah.
There's an app called Google Books. It's an e-reader. It's to read ebooks. And you can buy books, but they have free versions of the Bible in Google Books. And then it's not an app. There's no ads.
James Version.
Yeah, that's...
Well, somebody downloaded it to my phone. I didn't even know she did, but she did.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
So uninstall that app
I get my verses in the morning
and
and
go to
at
Google
noontime
Books,
and at night.
download Google Books, and I can help you with that. And then you can search Google Books for whatever version of the Bible, King James, whatever. And there's free ebook versions of the Bible that are not apps and don't have ads and
Because,
so.
I get at 10 minutes after 7, after 8 every morning, I
Yeah.
get my phone will wake me up.
Yeah,
And then at the same time, it's not.
at noontime and then at night,
Right. So,
sometime for that.
because I'm gonna get one at 7:15, 8:15.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we have,
She didn't ask me, she just went ahead and downloaded it. still don't know how to use it.
Yeah, but the guest has this.
Well, you're doing something with Pete, so.
Yeah, this is only gonna take
This will take us, this shouldn't take very long.
See, this is the one thing.